Brought to you by Stephen Pettis Ministries.
And Jesus like, that's what I'm going to do. See, that's why Jesus responded when they said she's dead. She ain't dead, she's asleep. Now, in the natural, she was dead. They could have called the morgue. But see, but when God promises something and you believe, all you got to do is stay. What am I saying? Let's say if God promised you that position, that promotion, and then you find out, oh, the position has been filled. What you gonna do? It might be a fact that that position was filled, but it's not the truth. If God promised me that position, and it doesn't matter if Dr. Spock himself is in that position, my belief, somehow Dr. Spock gonna retire, he gonna leave, he gonna move, he gonna change. See, we got to understand what's happening, because sometimes we can hear a lot of sayings. I hear this all the time. People say, well, you know, when God says over, it's over. Lord, don't start me on a trail that you're going to end. Something up with that. When he says it's over, it's over. Don't put me on the path. If I'm not getting it, don't show me. Now, I'm wrestling with some people religion. When God says it's over, it's over. What is that? Don't write me no letters. You know God says over is over. You fainted in faith perhaps, and the devil stole it. See, God is not a man that he should lie. He ain't going to tell you this is yours, and then all of a sudden it ain't. See, Jairus, his daughter was dead. If he would have fainted and said, oh, Jesus, my baby is dead, that would have been a funeral. Because that would have stopped Jesus. I can't do nothing. Could it be some of our unbeliefs have stopped things we should have had? Come on, I'm the best friend you got. We got to deal with this. Instead of get these religious answers, well, God feels meant for you as well. If it didn't happen, we justify God got something better. Let me wrap this up. See, the power of belief, it makes all the difference in the world. See, that's why you don't let anybody tell you that what you believe or don't believe doesn't matter. That believing stuff don't work. What is that? See, there's no such thing as non-belief. You can't even get saved or born again unless you believe. Let me end this. Let's go to Mark 9. Mark 9. Mark 9, verse, many of us, we know this story about the man and his son. Mark, the 9th chapter, verse 17 says, and one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which has a dumb spirit. Wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him and foameth, gnasheth with the teeth, pineth away. And I spake to thy disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not. He answered and said unto them, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me. And they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, immediately the spirit tearing him, he fell on the ground and wallowed before him. And he asked his father, how long is it ago since this came on him? And he said, of a child. Oftentimes he cast himself into the fire, into the waters to destroy him. For if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, but help thou mine unbelief. As I said, many of us know the story, but I want to just quickly zero in on the two verses. First thing, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. What have I said for years? Possibilities for me is based on my capacity to believe it. So you got to get a real revelation of that. Possibilities for you is based on your capacity or based on you believing it. If you can believe it, it becomes possible. You don't need anybody else to believe it. If you can be, if you can believe it. Possibilities for you. We ain't talking about your mother-in-law. Possibilities for you is based on your capacity to believe. It's possible for you if you can believe. Has nothing to do with anybody else. Certain sicknesses and diseases may run in your family, but possibilities for you that this ain't going to come near me is based on you believing. I know what I'm talking about. Now, it may not be possible for somebody else because they don't believe it. But if you can believe it. So you got to get a revelation on that. That possibilities for me is based on my capacity to believe it. Yeah. It's possible. I can get that house. And I know my credit ain't nothing but 330. Does 330 exist? Whatever. Possible. See, now somebody said, no. Possibilities for you. Now somebody said, well, why would the Lord do that? Because he's promised he's giving you houses you didn't build. Plural houses you didn't build. Vineyards you didn't plant. Goodly houses. Full of goodly stuff. Stuff that work. That's a promise. That's in your Bible. Has nothing to do with my credit or my money. So possibilities for me is based on my capacity to believe it. Now keep in mind, belief has to be based on what God has promised. You know, because God, he won't honor something he didn't say. See, God is not going to honor something because, you know what, I believe I can jump off my roof and not get hurt. God didn't say that. I believe I can have another man's wife. No, God didn't say that. So, you know, God doesn't honor something he didn't say. But now, on the same token, let me add this. The devil will try to honor what God didn't say. Because remember, anything God didn't say is an evil report. Now, God is not going to honor what he didn't say, but the devil will try. What am I saying? If you believe you're going to stay broke, busted, and disgusted, that now becomes possible for you. God didn't say that, but the devil will try to make sure, he will try to honor that. If you believe life is rough, guess what? A rough life is possible for you. God doesn't honor that, but the devil will try. See, I want us to understand this. You know, God's not going to, you believe on something he didn't say. No, but the enemy, he'll honor it. Oh, you believe life is rough? Okay. I'm going to try to honor that. You believe you're going to stay broke all your life? I'm going to try to honor that. You believe the same sickness that took your mother out, took your grandmother out, took your great mother out, cook, uncle, whoever out, that's going to take you out, the devil say, I'm going to try to honor that. If you believe you'll never get married, the devil makes sure I'm going to try to honor that. I'll go a step further. If you believe marriage is so hard, the devil is going to make sure you honor that. I felt the Richter scale. Ooh, that went real south when I said that. Well, I say it again. If you believe marriage is just so hard, I heard a celebrity say it's the most excruciating thing. You believe that? Guess what? The devil will help you honor that. And it'll be so hard, it'll be so difficult, you won't even be able to explain it. Man, I bought her flowers and she's still mad. Because it's hard. Flowers can't soften it up. I'm preaching better than you all. Come on, either we're going to believe this or we're not. Well, let's get right on into the Word. Those of you who have your Bibles or your phones or whatever it is, let's go to the 9th chapter of Mark. The 9th chapter of Mark, verse 23. And we've been coming from this passage for the last few weeks. The 9th chapter of Mark, verse 23 says, Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, but help thou mine unbelief. Now we'll hold it right there. Now, as I was preparing today's lesson, the Lord said, before I continue on this, and we've titled this, The Power of Your Belief. He said to remind the people that it's extremely important that you understand and never forget that not just today's lesson, but whenever we're being taught the Word of God, that in order for His Word to manifest in our lives, we have to see it. Whether it's this teaching on the power of your belief or any other lessons that comes before you, he said, remind the people that whenever something is being taught in the Word, and in order for that Word to manifest in your life, you're going to have to see it. In other words, after we hear it, which is knowledge, then we have to be able to see it, which is what we call revelation knowledge. Yeah. So we hear it and we get knowledge, but then now we're going to have to see it, and that's what's called revelation knowledge. And I say that because I learned some time ago that you can only receive what's been revealed to you. You see, because without revelation, all we have is head knowledge. And head knowledge can't lead you to what God has for you. Keep your finger on that Mark 9. Quickly go to Isaiah 5, the 5th chapter of Isaiah. 5th chapter, and I'm gonna get back into the teaching of this, but the Lord said, remind the people of this. The 5th chapter of Isaiah, verse 13 says, therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. Yeah. Another translation to that same part of that verse says, therefore my people, we're talking about the children of God, go into captivity to their enemies without knowing it, and because they have no knowledge of God. No knowledge. Now, what kind of knowledge are we talking about? We're talking about revelation knowledge. You see, based on what we read here, when you can't see deliverance, you stay bound. Because he said, my people are gone into captivity, into bondage, because of this no knowledge. And we're not just talking about knowing, just hearing the word, but because of revelation knowledge. So when I can't see deliverance, when I can't see healing, I stay bound. You don't have to turn to it. Proverbs 29 and 18 says, where there's no vision, in one translation, where there's no revelation of God, the people perish. So why am I saying this? Because revelation, it really gives you insight to the intent of God. In other words, God will reveal his intentions. You see, when you know what God really meant about something, then you don't get confused. Revelation eliminates confusion. Now, why do I say that? Let me quickly show you the difference between head knowledge and revelation knowledge. Go to the 16th chapter of Matthew, and most of us know this passage. The 16th chapter of Matthew, verse 13. It says, when Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, well, some say you're John the Baptist, some say Elijah, others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Then he said unto them, but whom say ye, or whom do you say I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. Yeah. Now here's the difference in head knowledge and revelation knowledge. Head knowledge said, you're one of the prophets. Now he was a prophet, no getting around that. But that's what head knowledge said. But revelation knowledge said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. You see, flesh and blood can't reveal spiritual things. Only revelation gives you insight into spiritual things. See, this is what I say. In all the lessons that we teach, whenever you're being taught the Word of God, in order for that Word to manifest in your life, you're going to have to see it. See, that's why you can have sometimes some people say, yeah, I heard the Bible, I know the Bible, I heard this, but it don't work. Because you didn't see it. I know you heard it, but did you see it? Now, why'd I open up by saying all this? You see, because what I'm teaching you, this lesson, power of belief, it really won't go any further than you just hearing another message. Unless you get a revelation to what you're hearing. See, that's how many of us, we can sit up in church Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, year after year after year, and don't really, not really significant changes. Because we hear it, but we don't see it. And when you don't see it, you don't believe it. Hallelujah. See, I've said for years, if you can't see it, you can't go there. See, because we were never designed to go somewhere we can't see. So if you can't see it, you can't believe it. But when you can see it, you can believe it. See, don't ever get it twisted and confused when people say, you know, blind faith. There's no such thing as blind faith. Because faith sees. You know. And this is really what See, you until you're able to see it, that's when you believe. You can't believe something you don't see. See, this is really even how the enemy stops many from believing something. Let me prove my point. Go to 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. Trust me, I'm going to get into the lesson, but we got to get reminded of this. 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, verse 3 says, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world, referring to Satan, God of the system, has blinded the minds of them which believe not. Now notice it doesn't say blinded the eyes. You know. See, because you know, we see through the mind. You see through the mind. See, because you can close your eyes right now and somebody say dog, you see the picture of a dog in the mind. So he has blinded the minds of them which believe not, unless the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image, should shine unto them. So Satan, he blinds you. In other words, when you're blind, you can't see. You know. And when you're blind, you can't see. If you can't see, you can't believe. So he's blinded the minds of them which believe not. They don't believe because they can't see. See, that's why we just read in Isaiah 5:13 that without revelation, you stay bound. In other words, if you can't see your healing, sickness will keep you bound. See, you can hear all day long about healing, but if you can't see it, that sickness will keep you bound. If you can't see prosperity, that lack and poverty will keep you bound. So it's important that we get a revelation